Thiago Santos beats Johnny Walker by a slim margin in Vegas. Let's get into the video.
Welcome back to the 11th Island, everybody. Another immediate reaction on UFC Fight Night. Thiago Santos versus Johnny Walker. Thiago Santos just beat, like Chris said off the top, Johnny Walker by a slim margin. Chris, what are we thinking about this fight?
It started out for me with a lot of promise, in the fact that Johnny Walker looked really light on his feet. His hands, his hands are so light, but they can hit so hard. He looks great. Both guys in great shape. They're looking good. And then the feeling out process, and in each round, you're like, okay. The feeling, they've felt each other out now. They're giving a lot of respect. These guys are both people with knockout potential. And then just never really came to fruition until the very, very end, the last few minutes, and there just wasn't enough action to do. I could have seen that go Johnny Walker's way. I could have seen that go Thiago Santos's way. It could have been a draw for all I care. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is I would say it's a disappointing fight. This fight had a lot of potential coming into it. Most people, I would assume, would think that this would be lucky to get out of the second round. It went a full 25 minutes here. It was disappointing. I would go so far to say it was a bad fight. It was not particularly entertaining. It looked a lot of times like it was Muay Thai sparring in this fight. I think Thiago Santos winning is the right decision. I had that 3-2 for him as well. But if Johnny Walker won, Santos would have had no gripe. And the same way that Johnny Walker has no gripe right now. Neither guy did enough to win, really, in all reality. Thiago Santos just did a little bit less in the efforts of losing this fight. So neither one of them they didn't really advance themselves anymore here. Santos is really, in a way, lucky that he comes out of this with a win, and especially with a contract being, like he said in the post-fight interview, his contract's up. This is not a good place to be renegotiating.
Well, I think I said to you in that going out of that third round where I say either of these guys, a win here is not going to, a win like this is not going to increase your stock here, where the light heavyweight division is super, super packed right now. There's a lot of things that are piling up, a lot of stuff on the docket to do. John Jones is there holding it, and then so all these fights are piling up, and then John Jones leaves. Okay, now we got to go through the list, right? We got to do this fight, we got to do that fight, and really, the only thing that can blast you through that is not just, oh, I'm climbing the rankings and I'm the 10, I beat the 5, now I get this. That doesn't matter, because guess what? 4, 3, 2, 1, they're all tied up right now. The thing that's going to get you through is, wow, I need to see a light heavyweight fight with Johnny Walker or with Thiago Santos where they're going back for the belt. I need to see this, and right now I don't need to see either of these guys go for a run if they're going to fight like that.
Especially when a couple weeks ago you had Anthony Smith put on a hell of a performance over Ryan Spann, getting that win. So it's something where we've seen a guy in a similar ranking as Santos be far more entertaining, cut up a far more entertaining promo at the end of the fight, where it was going, I really want to see Anthony Smith fight next.
Yeah.
At this point, Thiago Santos, and I used to be really high on him. I think in the original John Jones fight, I thought he beat John Jones in that fight. He has not been the same fighter ever since then. I mean, he had significant leg injuries with his MCL and his ACL coming off of that. And he's almost looked gun shy after that fight. He looked really gun shy for a lot of this. So I don't know if it's, I would a lot of times you would say, is it because of the injury? But he's throwing all the kicks. It's not that he's worried about his leg. I don't know what's going on here. And with Johnny Walker, it was one of those situations where it felt like each guy respected the other's power too much. And 25 minutes later, it's just a really boring affair. But like you mentioned during the fight too, if they just went out for an all-out war, and both guys are just swinging for the fences here, and you get caught and knocked out, you're not losing as much stock as a Johnny Walker loses stock in this fight, losing this in this boring fashion.
Yeah, and it's tough to do this. You think of guys in other aspects of professional sports when they're in their contract year, You know, you have a
Hmm.
season. If you're a baseball player, if you're a football player, you have the season where you're like, okay, I gotta earn my dollar here. You know, and with
Yep.
MMA, it's totally different. It's a totally different vibe where that whole year is condensed into one single fight that you're going to be putting out.
Hmm.
This is your because it's so much. What have you done for me lately? And you look at a guy like Yoel Romero in a similar position who fought
Hmm.
had a title went from a title shot to now I'm going over to a different promotion just because of inactivity in the octagon during a fight, you know, being cautious, being tepid.
Hmm.
It's not a great look if you're thinking about Thiago Santos going out on the mic and saying, "Hey, we gotta re up a contract and hey, more money." You know, it's very difficult to do that.
It's not good looking. I'll give you. We normally get into what's next in these videos, and I'll give you what I think is next for Thiago Santos right now, and I think it's a Bellator fight. I think Bellator is really trying to build up their light heavyweight division right now. They're in the middle of the Grand Prix. They've had some injury struggles with that. I think Santos would is the Scott Coker could look at him as a big name, and I think his next fight might be for the Bellator light heavyweight title. I think he could walk into there if they keep having more injury trouble and walk right into either, if not the title fight, one of the World Grand Prix fights as an injury replacement. Because Dana White's not looking at Thiago Santos. The division is not stacked by any means in the light heavyweight division, but Santos, he's had his title shot. He's kind of faltered afterwards. He's gonna be looking for a big pay raise here, which you don't need to give him. Nobody's really clamoring at this point to see him. He's gonna fill like this fight night main event, which I'm gonna imagine if you go to the numbers, it's not gonna do very well. Maybe it does well in Brazil because of the Brazil versus Brazil, but it's not something that we necessarily need to see again. But for a Bellator, he's a name you could go based off the title challenger in the UFC. He fits in well there, kind of along the reign of the Rumble Johnson or Yoel Romero. So I think we see him, and I think we see him make the move to Bellator. And I don't hate that for Thiago Santos himself. At 37, he'd probably make more in Bellator as one of their top guys versus UFC versus being one of the mid-range guys. So kind of get him to cash out at the end of his career, and maybe he's a lot closer to a title in Bellator than he would be in the UFC. And that sounds weird saying that he's never even mentioned the organization, but I think it's true.
Yeah, and I think that you see we drew comparisons to Yoel Romero, right? And he's gone into Bellator, and yes, didn't fare too great in his first fight in
Hmm.
the organization, but still, I mean, there was a lot of buzz around him. You know, you see
Hmm.
guys now. There's a model I think where it's not you're not going to Redemption Island. You're not getting sent. You know, you're being sent over, or not. You're going over willingly to Bellator to do your own thing. You know, keep if you're at that position where you're a little bit older, you
Hmm.
don't got a lot of fights left. You're obviously concerned about damage a little
Hmm.
bit, you know, as we saw in that fight. So he's not fully willing to do a war. Like, yeah, if there's a title immediately on the line, I'll go to war. But if there's not a guarantee that I can try for a strap, the belt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why am I doing it with this guy Johnny Walker? Why am I getting into the weeds with a guy like Johnny Walker? You know, but whereas you go over to Bellator where you're sniffing it from the start, potentially making a little bit more money and getting all the shine, you're sitting on posters for pay-per-views. You know, I think that's a good move.
And I think for Johnny Walker here to start wrapping things up, what's next for him is going to be you got to put he's an exciting fighter that if he gets pushed to be clearly at this point, it's still in there. I think a Jamal Hill, a Jimmy Crute, one of those lower ranked light heavyweights, give them a chance to bump up in the rankings, and somebody that's really going to force Johnny Walker to be that exciting fighter that we know is in there, that's going to push him bring that out of him, because Thiago Santos was kind of content to just stay at a distance, and those two guys will not be content to do that for a fight. Make that a 3 rounder, low ranking on a pay per view, or even like a prelim headliner for a pay per view.
Yeah, I think that's all you said. So, Brad, why don't you tell the people now that we're done the video what they can do now to keep enjoying our
Well,
content? Or wait, is there anything else you want to say?
Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, no,
Oh,
that's all I got to say about it. So thank you to everybody for tuning in. If you like these types of videos, we coming out with these pretty much every week for UFC, the immediate reaction. So like, comment, subscribe to stay up to date with it. We also post audio podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. 350 and 500 subscriber giveaway coming up. Check the Sports Cards playlist, and we'll see you later. Peace.
subscribe to our YouTube. Subscribe and click the like button too. Subscribe for more UFC content. We'll see you later, everybody. Hope you did subscribe.